Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Game of the Week. Believe it or not, we've got high school football. It's March. Usually it's March Madness and basketball time and college basketball. The NBA's heating up, but we have high school football during the we're still in the middle of the pandemic. Obviously, the 2020 fall high school football season did not happen. To be safe and to make sure that the kids were safe, the coaches were safe. They moved all this around. They're trying to fit this high school football season in between high school basketball and the high school sports season. Obviously, high school sports season during the high school spring sports season. So it's going to be about a 7 or 8 week high school football season starting this Friday night in the Boston City League. So there's 8 teams in the Boston City League. So every team will play the other 7 teams in the City League. So it'll be 7 weeks. And then there won't be, state playoffs. There won't be even a city championship in high school football, but in the Boston North and the Boston South, there will be North and South champions at the end of the season. So it's going to be a lot of fun to look at. Another thing that's going to be a lot of fun is this first game. We picked it for a reason. It's the Mason Cup. Latin Academy hosting Tech Boston. Anytime these two teams play, it is a close game. It's a lot of fun. We've covered some of their games where the teams have scored at the final buzzer. Back in 2016, Tech Boston scored a touchdown through the air to win it as the clock of the fourth quarter hit 0. So it was a fantastic game that year. Last year, Latin Academy won by, I believe, 6, 22-16. So it's always a close game. And when we look at this game, one of the things we can look at in particular is the 2 quarterbacks. 2 very good quarterbacks for each team with 2 completely contrasting styles. First, we'll talk about Tech Boston with Julius Gillard. Gillard was a sophomore last year. We hadn't seen him until we covered a game a couple of weeks into the season, and Julius is a lot of fun to watch. After the game, everybody talked about him looking just like Kyler Murray. He's only about 5'5", can't necessarily see over the line, offensive lineman, but very good arm, can throw from the pocket, but he is an unbelievable scrambler and runner. We saw him last year against O'Brien. He had a couple of long rushing touchdowns just from scrambling with the football. They weren't even designed runs, but he can throw the ball too. We've seen him complete plenty of passes, and I know this year Coach Raul Brown wants Julius to become more of a pocket passer as a junior. So he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Meanwhile, on the other side for Latin Academy, they have a senior quarterback in Zach Maffeo, who has been the starter since his sophomore year. And he's a big 6'2", tall, stand in the pocket. He's not going to run that much. He has the athletic ability, but he's not going to run that much, and he's going to deliver the football and run the offense like a traditional pocket passer for the Latin Academy Dragons. So 2 contrasting styles out of the quarterback position for both these teams. But both teams have very good skills position players too. First, we'll talk about Tech Boston. They're actually missing a couple of guys who won't be able to play this week because of a couple of different things, but they should get them over the next couple of weeks in the season. But one guy who they're getting back, or they have back this year as a senior, is Esau Jackson. Esau has been a very good, just overall football player for this Tech Boston team since his sophomore year. He's a receiver, he's a safety, he's a lot of fun to watch, and also Isaiah Montero, very fun player to watch for Tech Boston. But Tech Boston is going to be kicking off to start the football game. They're in the white jerseys with the black and red trim. Latin Academy in the black jerseys with the yellow trim, and we are just about set to go at Boston English High School in Jamaica Plain. I'll explain why they're at Boston English right now in just a minute. But Tech Boston doing the kicking duties. Onside kick didn't go 10 yards, so that is going to be a penalty on Tech Boston. We'll see what Latin Academy decides to do. I think they're just going to take the football right there. They're already in Tech Boston territory. So, Tech Boston started off without using a kicking tee, and a lot of times that means the team's trying to do a squib kick or an onside kick. So whether that was called by the coaching staff or if it was just a decision made by the kicker, or if it's just a missed kick, then that's what happened. So they tried an onside kick there, didn't go 10 yards, so Latin Academy is going to take the football right there in great field position at the Tech Boston 48-yard line. So that's where the Dragons will set up shop for their first possession of the Fall 2/Spring 2021 high school football season. You see Zach Maffeo is the quarterback. On first down, they hand it off to the big running back, Robert Marek, and he has nowhere to go with the football. Might have picked up a yard on the play. Actually, it looks like they're going to mark them down right at the line of scrimmage. So no gain on that play. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Latin Academy Dragons. Like I mentioned before, folks, this game is being played at Boston English High School in Jamaica Plain. Latin Academy's home games are normally at White Stadium. But because of what's going on during this time of year, White Stadium's really chewed up. The field's not in great shape because it's natural grass. It's so hard here in New England to keep a surface like that stable. So they're going to be playing their home games at Boston English this year, and that's why they're here for week 1. So now on 2nd down and 10 for Latin Academy. Looks like Malcolm Crispin, the deep back. They pitch to Crispin over the right side. Malcolm stiff arms one defender, still on his feet, makes his way past the 45, up at the 44-yard line. So about a 4-yard gain on the play, so it's going to be 3rd down and 6 now for the Dragons. So you see that backfield tandem of Latin Academy. You just saw Crispin brings a little more speed for the Dragons. Meanwhile, Robert Merrick, big number 19, tall, leaning running back. He is the power for this Latin Academy backfield. Both running backs can run for power, however. Malcolm Crispin, as you saw there, does run hard despite his size. Very good football player all around for Latin Academy. 3rd down and 6 now for the Dragons. Merrick, the deep back, Crispin, the fullback for Latin Academy. Early movement on 1st down. I couldn't quite see who moved first. We'll see what the referees decide here. Our first penalty of the game. I think it's going to be on Latin Academy. Yeah, it's going to be a false start on Latin Academy. That's going to push them back 5 yards. So instead of a 3rd and 6, they're now going to face a 3rd and 11 from their own, or from the Tech Boston 49-yard line. Any team that's playing in this fall 2, we'll call it, high school football season is going to have some bumps and some sloppy play to begin the year. It's just because of the strangeness of playing high school football in March. But all these teams happy to be out there for this fall 2 season after what they've been through. So 3rd and 11, over the middle. They find a receiver up the seam, making his way down to the, looks like the 35-yard line. I think that was Harrison Fitzgerald. I have to check on that number, but a nice pass up the seam that time from Zach Maffeo. As you can see how he can stand in the pocket and deliver the mail. He did it that time for that gain. 14-yard pickup on the play. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line now for Latin Academy. They pitch it over the left side to Crispin. Malcolm Crispin is bottled up at the line of scrimmage. See if he might have even lost a yard on the play. See where they mark him down. Yeah, right on the 35-yard line. So no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for Latin Academy. Both these teams finished 2019 with a 7-4 record. Both at the top of the Boston North for Latin Academy and the Boston South for Tech Boston. Now on 2nd down, they run the reverse to Lucas Suazo. Suazo looking for an opening, and he tiptoes out of bounds right around the 32-yard line rather. So it's about a 3-yard pickup there on 2nd down. Suazo, very good receiver for Latin Academy. He was their most talented receiver a year ago. Didn't quite get as many receptions as I think he would have liked, despite the talent. Suazo also a very good kicker. If Latin Academy puts it in the end zone at some point today, you'll probably see Suazo try for the extra point. You're going to see what kind of leg he has. Very accurate kicker for Latin Academy. So 3rd down and 7 now for the Dragons. On their last 3rd down, they had a 14-yard completion up the seam to Fitzgerald. Half to Crispin up the middle. Malcolm now trying to bounce it to the outside. Does he have the edge? Excellent form tackle at the line of scrimmage. And coming out to make the play there for Tech Boston was Dyree Smith, the senior. And Latin Academy now going to be faced with a 4th and long. They actually lost a yard on the play, so it'll be 4th and 8 from the Tech Boston 31-yard line. Excellent form tackle that time by Dyree Smith, who Coach Brown mentioned is a player that he's very excited to watch, really likes the way that he brings it every play on the football field. Coach Brown also mentioned how Tech Boston's really going to try to shut down Malcolm Crispin, number 28, because he knows what kind of player he is, both running and catching the football. Maffeo now scrambling for an opening up the sideline, but couldn't find his receiver. That time he was looking for big number 82, Owen O'Neill, the 6'2 sophomore, but couldn't connect up the sideline. So that's going to be a turnover on downs. Tech Boston will take over at the 31-yard line. So like I mentioned, you know, these teams they've only had about 2 weeks of practice, and I know Tech Boston had a player or two that actually was sick over a week ago, and they actually had to shut down practice for a couple of days just to make sure that player didn't have COVID. So, you know, the start of this season, there hasn't been a lot of practice. There hasn't been a lot of continuity. And these are two of the better programs in the city. But certainly even for these programs who have very good coaches and some continuity at quarterback, things are going to be a little sloppy in the beginning. But very good defensive stand there on the first possession. Now it's Julius Gillard out of the shotgun, setting up the screen this time. Nice little move that time to get away from the defender. Once again, still on his feet and up the sideline for Tech Boston is Dyree Smith. So he comes up with the big tackle defensively, then makes a real nice run on the screenplay that was set up beautifully by Tech Boston. So good way to start off their first offensive possession as the Bears get into Latin Academy territory. See Julius Gillard, number 1, that quarterback. Doing a nice job running that play to start things off. Again, Gillard out of the pistol formation. The handoff over the left side. Another tough run this time from Tech Boston. This time it's number 24, Nair Zerjo, excuse me. Nair just a junior for this Tech Boston team. Picks up 4 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 6 now for Tech Boston. Fake the handoff up the middle. Gillard now trying to escape some pressure. He does. Julius Gillard makes his way past the 40-yard line up to the 39. And that's the type of thing that Julius can do. He's such an elusive runner. He didn't have a lot of open field that time, but still made something happen. So picks up a couple. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 4 now for Tech Boston. That had all the makings of a negative play. So much more manageable 3rd and 4 now for the Tech Boston Bears. You see Esau Jackson at the bottom of your screen. He's a receiver to look out for their Tech Boston. Once again, out of the pistol, Gillard. Now going to tuck it in and run. Julius Gillard avoids 1 tackle. Wrapped up right around the 34-yard line, so that should be a 1st down for the Tech Boston Bears. It looked like that was a design quarterback draw for Julius Gillard. Like about a 5-yard pickup on the play. You hear the coaches and refs trying to remind these players that because of COVID, you do have to spread out on the sideline. Now on 1st down. We try the end around that time with Esau Jackson, but he's got nowhere to go with it as Latin Academy bottles him up. That's actually number 21 for Tech Boston. We don't have a 21 on our roster, so we're going to have to make that correction at some point. But no gain on the play for number 21 on that one. It'll be 2nd down and 10 now for the Tech Boston Bears. More of a spread formation now for Tech Boston. They motion Latin Drgaons. Gillard looking for an opening. Now he's going to tuck it in and run again. Gillard to the outside. There you see the escapability from Julius Gillard. Picks up another 1st down right on the sticks for the Tech Boston Bears. Got down to the 24-yard line, so it looked like it was about a 11-yard pickup there for Gillard. First and 10 now for Tech Boston, as they keep marching down the football field. Now it's a fumbled snap. Tech Boston just trying to hang on to it. Nice job making something out of nothing, as that was Latin Drgaons again with the carry, as he makes his way up to the 28-yard line. It looked like it was about a 4-yard loss on the play. Be a 2nd and 14 now for the Bears. Gillard again looking to go to the air again. He's going to toss it up the seam to the end zone, and Smith could not come down with the catch. Gillard put it right on him. Wasn't the easiest catch. He's also kind of looking into the sun here during the late afternoon, early evening in Boston, but Dyrese Smith could not come up with the catch there in the end zone, as Gillard looked like he stepped up for a quarterback draw, but was still at the line of scrimmage, was able to get a pass off up the seam, but the ball fell incomplete. So looks like we now have a timeout on the field. I can't tell if that's a timeout by Latin Academy. Must be, because they don't like what they see right now from their defenses. You see some receivers getting free. You see Gillard finding some running room. And right now, Latin Academy's had a tough time slowing down this Tech Boston team. This 3rd down could be a huge one, too, because even if Tech Boston doesn't get the 1st down here, if they can pick up 7 to 10 yards and make it a more manageable 3rd down, a 4th down rather, and keep this drive going, that would be huge. But if you're Latin Academy, you've given up a couple of big plays. You weren't able to get the 1st down on offense, but if you can make a stop here, get the ball back, you're sitting in a much better position. If Tech Boston is able to pick up this 1st down and then eventually get it into the end zone, now you're talking about Tech Boston coming up with a big stop on the opening possession where they kicked off, came up with a stop defensively, and got a touchdown in the 1st quarter. All the momentum will be on the Tech Boston Bears side. So this is going to be a very important series for both these teams. 3rd down and 14, and this is sort of a interesting area defensively for Latin Academy, because you can kind of play back to try to prevent a pass up the field, but you got to remember, this running quarterback Julius Gillard can take off at any time. He's a very elusive quarterback, can pick up big chunks of yardage in pass plays when he can just tuck it in and run. So they probably have one of their defenders spying Gillard, I would think, on a play like this, where he has the opportunity to either chuck it downfield or throw for or scramble for possibly a 1st down. So here we go, 3rd down and 14 from the 28-yard line of Latin Academy. Gillard finding an opening, makes his way past the 25 up to the 24-yard line. So picks up some yardage there on third down, but it's still going to be a 4th and long now for Tech Boston. Looks like it's going to be about a 4th and 10, maybe 4th and 9 there. Both teams looking to figure out some substitutions there. They see Isaiah Montero, the junior receiver. Coach Brown is definitely going to want to try to get him involved in this offense at some point. So 4th and 10 now for Tech Boston from the 24-yard line of Latin Academy. Bears looking to continue this strong drive. Gillard going to again try to tuck it in and run. Nope, he's going to throw it over the right side. He's got a receiver close to the goal line and inside the 10-yard line. We don't have a 21. That might be Chris Mendez. I don't have a 21 on my roster, but I'm going to make the assumption that Mendez is the receiver that just caught that ball. He's a 6-foot senior wide receiver for Tech Boston. So an excellent throw. Gillard put it right on the money. Got Tech Boston inside the 10-yard line on that pass, so it'll be 1st and goal for the Bears. As we did during basketball season, folks, we have just one camera at the game, trying to keep everything safe. We don't want to bring a whole crew out to these games, so just one camera. And we have some folks back here doing a great job with graphics and audio for us. So it's tough for us to see the yardage marker at this angle for this field, as we've dealt with before. But it's definitely inside the 10-yard line. So it'll be 1st and goal from inside the 10 for Tech Boston. Now it's Gillard looking for an opening. He's going to waltz into the end zone for a touchdown. Julius Gillard, the junior dynamic quarterback for this Tech Boston team, finds an opening. It was either him rushing or passing the ball the whole way through, as the Tech Boston Bears score the touchdown there. And you can see just how difficult it is to try to defend a player like Julius. Okay, now I think there might have been a holding penalty on that play. No, I just saw the coaches from Tech Boston give each other a high five. So they must have scored the touchdown, because I don't think they'd be high-fiving on a holding penalty. So again, the angle's tough here, so we're just trying to make sure we have everything correct. I think Tech Boston's now attempting the 2-point conversion. It's Gillard. Gonna try to get it in again, and Gillard, does he reach for the pylon? Does he get in? I don't believe he did. I think he's short of the goal line that time. So it's 6-0, Tech Boston on top to start things off. Julius Gillard with an excellent first drive of the 2021 fall 2/spring high school football season. Bears on top of the Latin Academy Dragons 6-0, and excellent first quarter so far for this Tech Boston team. They came up with a stop on Latin Academy's first possession of the game, and then just drove right down the field. Mostly Gillard the whole way. They're rushing the football or throwing the football, but you saw a couple other players like Dyree Smith, who had a really nice run on a screen for the first offensive play of the game for the Tech Boston Bears. So that was an 11-play, 62-yard drive for Tech Boston. That was capped off by a short rushing touchdown for Julius Gillard, excuse me. So Bears now kicking off. Nice boot this time. On the return for Latin Academy is Lucas Suazo, who's got some space, and he makes his way up to the 42-yard line. So, again, good field position for Latin Academy. Not quite as good as the opening kickoff when Tech Boston tried an onside kick. But Dragons, again, with good field position. We'll see what they try to do here on their second possession. So I'm getting word from our cameraman that they did get that 2-point conversion. Tech Boston did. So it's actually 8-0. Tech Boston on top of Latin Academy. Now on first down for Latin Academy, they hand off to Malcolm Crispin, who's got a seam. Malcolm Crispin still on his feet past the 25-yard line. Crispin not going down easily as he's wrestled down inside the 15-yard line. Malcolm Crispin with a big-time run for the Dragons. Boy, did they need that. You see Malcolm, you saw Julius Gillard have a really nice series there offensively. Just this 5'5" quarterback. Now you have this 5'7" running back for Latin Academy, Malcolm Crispin, and I've seen him play the last couple of years. Do not let your eyes deceive you. He runs hard. He runs tough. He refuses to go down despite his size. He's a lot of fun to watch, and huge play there from Malcolm Crispin. So now on first down after the big run, it's Merrick, the tall, leaning running back on first down, picks up some tough yards there for the Dragons. So looks like Merrick got inside the 10-yard line on that run, or just right at the 10. So I actually think it's going to be second down and about 5 now for Latin Academy. I think the Dragons just called the timeout. It's going to be 2nd and 6 for the Dragons. Sometimes, especially, both coaches mentioned to me too that because they've only had a couple weeks of practice, because none of these guys played football in the fall, and because some of these players only either play, they might just play football and don't play a winter sport, or just play football and maybe just play football and also play a spring sport. They haven't had an athletic season maybe since the fall of 2019. So some of these guys just aren't quite in the shape they need to be to start the season. So you might even look at it like, Latin Academy calling a timeout here to try to get some of their guys a breather, just because they're not quite used to playing like this. They just had a big run. Their offensive line just had to run down the field there after that big run from Malcolm Crispin. So Latin Academy might just be trying to get these guys to catch their breath. There's also a possibility that was the end of the first quarter. So we'll have to see. I think it is. That's the end of the first quarter here at Boston English High School. We see them changing ends. So we're going to try to keep this as accurate as possible, folks. But that was the end of the first quarter here at Boston English High, with Tech Boston on top of Latin Academy 8-0. We're just about ready to start the second quarter here on Game of the Week. The other unfortunate thing is the scoreboard is not on at Boston English. So we're going to do our best to stay as accurate as possible with the quarters. We don't see the time, so it's just going to be the referees keeping the time on the field. So we'll have to monitor that as best we can. One thing they did during these COVID protocols as well is normally players can't go when they're on the sideline, they can't go past the 25-yard lines. But because players are supposed to spread out during this fall 2 high school football season, they actually allowed sidelines to be able to go all the way to the 10s. So that actually might be an advantage for coaches too, that they can go all the way down to the 10-yard line to talk to their players when they're near the goal line. In the past, they can only go to the 25, so it's a little bit tougher for players to hear their coaches, just because of their distance is so much more, it's a greater distance between the coach and the quarterback and the coach and the player. So 2nd down and 6 now for Latin Academy. After that 1st down run from Robert Merrick. On 2nd down, the handoff to Merrick again, and might have picked up a yard or 2 on that play as he got up to about the 10-yard line. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 5 now for Latin Academy. Dragons going to have to get to the 5-yard line for a 1st down. So 3rd down and 5 now for the Latin Academy Dragons. They desperately want to get this drive to continue. And it's going to be Maffeo on the keeper. Maffeo with some running room as he's dragged down, looks like inside the 5-yard line. I think that's going to be a 1st and goal now for Latin Academy. Good job by the Dragons offensive line to get some running room for the senior quarterback. For any of you that are familiar with Boston City League football, Zach Maffeo actually has a twin brother named Luke Maffeo who plays quarterback and tight end for the O'Brien football team. So, and those two teams usually play on Thanksgiving every year. I think they'll be playing at the very end of the season, towards the end of April, in this spring football season. This will be it for the Maffeo twins in high school football. I could see either one of them trying to play in college. They're both very good football players overall and are versatile too. They could play other positions other than quarterback, but I think even quarterback is a possibility at the next level for either player. So it'll be 1st and goal now for Latin Academy. Crispin, the lone back in the backfield. It's Maffeo going to try to sneak it in. Did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Latin Academy Dragons. Luke Maffeo punching it home for Latin Academy as they answer the drive from Tech Boston with a touchdown drive of their own to cut the lead down to 2. Zach Maffeo, also no stranger to rushing touchdowns. He had, I believe, at least 4 a season ago, and because of his size and because of his athleticism, he can, find the right hole and punch it through in short yardage situations like that. These are the type of games that these two teams always seem to have. Mason Cup, always a lot of fun, always tight, always close. One team scores a touchdown, the other team answers. They never seem to separate themselves between, a touch with more than a touchdown or 2. So this is going to be a fun game, I think, throughout the evening between these two rivals. So Latin Academy now trying for the 2-point conversion after their 5-play, 58-yard touchdown drive. Now on the 2-pointer, Maffeo looking over the right side. He's got his receiver, and it looks like we had some whistles early, so I don't know if there was some early motion or if the ball wasn't spotted right. We'll have to see what happens here as they maybe back up Latin Academy. It's also a weird season for the referees, too. They're not used to calling officiating high school football games in the spring, so they're kind of getting used to it as well. Yeah, it's going to be a false start on Latin Academy, so that'll back them up to about the 7.5-yard line and try to attempt the 2-point conversion. I wonder if now they're going to actually try to have Lucas Suazo kick the extra point. As we mentioned before, Suazo, very good leg with this Latin Academy team. No, I think it is. I think they are going to go for a 2-point conversion here. So they're going to stick with the 2-point try after that short touchdown run by Luke Maffeo. Once again, it's Crispin, the lone man in the backfield. Robert Merrick is in the slot for Latin Academy as they go with the spread formation. And I think Tech Boston came across offside, so that 5-yard penalty that Latin Academy had, they're going to bring it right back. So they're going to go back to the 2.5-yard line for the 2-point attempt. You know, as we mentioned before, some of these football players just haven't even heard a football cadence since the fall of 2019. So it's been so long since they've had to, you know, either come off the ball or try to rush the passer or attack a running gap just from a cadence or from the ball being snapped. And that's more of an instinctual thing. So when you haven't played football in a year and a half, for some of these guys, especially for all these guys, actually, they haven't had a season. So since the fall of 2019, there's going to be an adjustment period as to the live football action. You can't simulate that. It's tough to simulate that anywhere, even in practice when you're going full pads. Now on the 2-point conversion, they pitch it over the left side to Crispin. Malcolm escapes one tackler, escapes another, and he punches home the 2-pointer to Latin Academy. Answering the Tech Boston touchdown and 2-point conversion with a TD and a conversion of their own. We're tied up at 8 apiece here in the second quarter. And that touchdown drive for Latin Academy was sparked by that big-time run from Malcolm Crispin to end the first quarter. You see Maffeo with a quarterback keeper to get them close to the goal line. Then he punches it home from, I think, about the 2-yard line. And then you see Crispin take it in for the 2-point conversion. So excellent answering drive there by Latin Academy. And this isn't a shocker. We knew that this was going to be a close game between these two teams. Two very good quarterbacks, very good coaching staffs, good skills position players, and both teams have really, even though their offensive lines are a little young and inexperienced, they know what they're doing up front there. You can see it already. So this is going to be a fun game throughout the evening, and we're seeing it right now. So Latin Academy ties it up at 8 apiece. They'll be kicking off back to Tech Boston, who's going to want to answer. And the big question now is, can Latin Academy's defense try to contain Julius Gilliard? Suazo will be kicking off for, I'm sorry, that's not Lucas Suazo. Have to see the number there. They save Suazo for punts and field goals. Good sort of squib kick up the middle there for Latin Academy. On the return for Tech Boston is Esau Jackson, but he's wrapped up. Looks like right around the 25-yard line. That's where Tech Boston will take over for their second offensive possession. First here of the second quarter. First and 10 now for the Tech Boston Bears. From their own 25-yard line. Gilliard over the right side, looking for his receiver. Ball is knocked loose. So good tackle that time from, oh, guess who? Malcolm Crispin coming up to make the stop. The Dragons move Malcolm all over the defensive side of the ball. He plays linebacker, safety, corner. They're going to move him around a lot. And there you see him coming up to make to break up that pass. So it'll be second down and 10 for the Tech Boston Bears after that incompletion. And now you see Latin Academy coming across. Look like the nose guard It was offsides that time. Number 79, Edson Da Silva, sophomore. So that moves Tech Boston up to the 30-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 5 now for the Bears. Gillard over the right side. That pass falls incomplete. I think that was Dyree Smith who was the intended receiver, but Gillard couldn't get it out to him. You know, it's a short pass out in the flat for screen passes and for passes to the backside of the backfield, but that's not the easiest pass to throw. Even you see professional quarterbacks sometimes are inaccurate with that throw. You have to completely turn your body all the way to the side where you're actually facing the sideline to complete that pass properly. That takes a lot of practice, and those are often the passes that the best quarterbacks can complete. You've seen Tom Brady complete that pass over and over again. Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, those guys, Russell Wilson, those guys, and of course Pat Mahomes, he can throw from any angle, but some of the toughest passes are those screen passes. Now in 3rd and 5, it's Gillard chucking it down the right side of the field, does not have his receiver as he threw it a little too far for him. So I think Tech Boston's going to have to punt here as they're going to be faced with a 4th and 5. You see, Julius Gillard has the arm. You know, he's just a little guy. He's just 5'5". We know he can run with the football, but even throwing on the run, he can get it down the field. But that one falls incomplete, so it'll be 4th and 5 now for Tech Boston as they punt the football away. I believe it's Isaiah Montero who's back to kick for Tech Boston. Montero, after the low snap, gets a decent punt off as that's going to roll. Latin Academy's just going to have to let that go all the way down to the 27-yard line. Soazo was back to receive for Latin Academy. If I'm one of the Latin Academy coaches, I'm telling Lucas, if you're not picking that thing up, just get away from it. He was a little too close for my liking if I was one of the Latin Academy football coaches. Lucas is also a smart football player, so I think he knew what he was doing there. But once you make the decision not to return the football, get away from it. So good defensive stand that time from Latin Academy's defense. So they'll now get the football back at the 26-yard, at their own 26-yard line. Excuse me, make that the 21-yard line. So worst field position so far here in the first half for Latin Academy. And now Tech Boston's going to call a timeout. It looks like they had some confusion on defense, and this is going to happen a lot during the spring football season. There's going to be confusion because of, the limited practice time and things like that. So the Tech Boston Bears call a timeout here midway through the second quarter after punting the football back to Latin Academy. As we mentioned, both these teams 7-4 last year. Latin Academy was the only BPS football team to make it out of the first round of the playoffs. From what I remember, it was almost a year and a half ago, so sometimes it's tough to completely remember everything that happened a season ago. Tech Boston also finished the year 7-4. Latin Academy actually came to Boston English later on in that year, and they played sort of a, two of the top teams in the City League go at it later on in the season. It was a non-qualifier game, but we actually covered that game, and Latin Academy, or Boston English rather, beat Latin Academy, I believe, in that one. So, as I say, Tech Boston and Latin Academy, they both finished at 7-4. Boston English finished, I believe, at 5-6 a year ago, but they had a very good season also. They lost a couple of non-qualifiers at the end of the year. But these are certainly two of the top teams in the Boston City League heading into this season. So out of the Tech Boston timeout, 1st and 10 from their own 21-yard line. Latin Academy hands off to Malcolm Crispin again, and Malcolm has nowhere to go with it that time. Might have lost a yard on the play as he was stopped at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, he did lose a yard there, so it'll be 2nd down and about 11 for Latin Academy. Fake the pitch. Maffeo looking to throw. Now he's going to tuck it in. We'll see if he still takes off with it. No, he dumps it down to the sideline. And that's once again O'Neal coming up with the catch there for Latin Academy, and he picks up the 1st down for the Dragons. So Owen O'Neal, 6'2" sophomore, once again on the receiving end from an accurate pass from Luke Maffeo. Makes his way up to the 35-yard line. So that was about a 16-yard pickup on the play for Latin Academy, and it's a 1st down for the Dragons. Now on 1st down, a handoff to Merrick. Robert Merrick sticks his foot in the ground and picks up a couple on 1st down. His way up to the 37-yard line. So that's a 2-yard gain on 1st down. Actually, make that the 38. It's a 3-yard pickup on 1st down for Robert Merrick. So it'll be 2nd down and 7 now for Latin Academy. Fumbled snap there for the Dragons. We'll see who came up with it. I think Latin Academy was able to hang on. One of the offensive linemen might have pounced on it. So we had a fumbled snap there. So not what the Dragons are looking for there on 2nd down. They actually lost a yard on the play. Actually lost 2 yards on the play. So it'll be 3rd and 9 now for Latin Academy. And again, those things are going to happen because of the snaps. You know, some people think it's, you know, just knowing what to do, but it's reps. You know, it's quarterbacks and centers and whoever's taking the snaps, getting reps during practice, before practice, after practice. And we only have, these teams have only had 2 weeks of practice. And I know at the start they were allowed to actually go in basketball gyms and so forth to try to get a little bit of practice in. When you're not out on the field, it's just a completely different scenario. So even when you're snapping the football in a gym, it's completely different than snapping the football out on the field. So we'll see if Latin Academy can pick up a 1st down here. It's going to be 3rd and 9 now for the Dragons from their own 35-yard line. Suazo, the man in motion. They fake the pitch. Maffeo gets away from one pass rusher, finds O'Neal, but he's wrapped up at the 39-yard line. Once again, Dyree Smith, he has been all over the field here in the 1st half, coming up with a big tackle for just a short gain for Latin Academy. Picked up about 3 yards on the play. So it's going to be 4th and 6. Make that 4th and 7 for the Dragons. So that fumbled snap really stalled that drive for Latin Academy. Oh, looks like they're going to go for it here on 4th down. Unless Maffeo's going to do a quick kick here, it looks like Latin Academy is going to try to go for it on 4th down. Suazo also in the backfield. Remember, Suazo is the punter. And it looks like Latin Academy had too many men on the field as they broke the huddle. And look, Malcolm Crispin wasn't supposed to be out there. So we'll see if they back them up or if Latin Academy called a timeout. think you're going to see Latin Academy punt after this timeout. There it is. They're going to back them up 5 after they broke the huddle with 12 men on the field. It'll be 4th and 12 now for the Dragons. Oh, they're setting up like they're going to go for it. Must not be a lot of time left here in the second quarter. So I'm surprised they want to give Julius Gillard this much room. Now Maffeo with the quick kick. Nice booming punt there from Zach Maffeo. As it rolls past the 30-yard line down to the 26, make that the 25-yard line. So a good punt that time from Maffeo. Looks like it was about a 35-plus yard punt there from the Latin Academy quarterback. So the Tech Boston Bears will take over at their own 30-yard line. Excuse me, the 26-yard line. My apologies. Tech Boston takes over at their own 26-yard line here late in the second quarter after forcing Latin Academy to punt. Tech Boston drove all the way down the field and scored on their first possession in the first quarter, then came back with their second possession and were stopped by Latin Academy. This is now their 3rd offensive possession of the ball game so far. Gillard out of the shotgun, looking for an opening. He's going to be wrapped up in the backfield, so this time Latin Academy is able to corral the dynamic Julius Gillard. That's going to be a big loss on that play for Tech Boston. Backs them up at least 5 yards to the 19-yard line. Actually, it's a loss of 7 on the play because they were starting at the 26. So it'll be 2nd down and 17 now for Tech Boston. As we mentioned, there is no scoreboard on the field that's working, so the referees are the ones taking care of the clock. I'm not sure if that's a timeout. It is a timeout. They're not signaling who called it. It'd be nice to know, but I think Tech Boston probably called the timeout there. There might have been some confusion offensively. So you see Coach Raul Brown on the sideline talking to his team. Raul's in his 6th season as the head coach of the Tech Boston Bears. He's the one with the baseball hat on and holding sheets of paper there, talking to his team with the mask on right there. Everyone's required to wear a mask on the sideline. Coaches, players. Anyone on the sideline. They're also trying to limit the amount of people on the sideline. I believe you can only have 45 players on the sideline and 6 coaches. So, you know, if you have a team that has 30 players on the roster, you have a few guys that are injured, they can still be there. But if you have a team with 50-something players on the roster and you have a few injured guys, a few injured players, they will not be standing, they're not supposed to be standing on the sideline during this Fall 2 season. If that would put you over the 45-player limit. All these regulations are brand new for all these football teams, so it's going to take a while to just figure those things out. There's not a lot of football modifications when it comes to how the game is played. In basketball, we saw a lot of different scenarios where, you know, they didn't have inbounds plays from underneath the basket. You couldn't have anybody in the lane on the first free throw when a player was taking 2 free throws. So you could only have 2 defenders and 1 offensive player in the lane for the second free throw. Or a 1-on-1 free throw. You know, there were all these different there was no jump balls, so actual tips at half court. So there were all these different stipulations for the basketball games. The football ones don't really affect the game as much. So you're on 2nd and 17, nowhere to go for Tech Boston running back Nair Sanjurjo. So Latin Academy with another stop there on defense. So they forced Tech Boston into a 3rd and 17. So they spot the football at the 17-yard line. This is also the tough part, folks, about games at this time in the afternoon in the spring, is there you see the sunlight really making it tough for our cameraman, and that's really nothing we can do about it. That's just the cause of where the sunlight is angled. Gillard tries to chuck it down deep down the left side of the field, but the ball falls incomplete. I think that's Isaiah Montero who's looking for down the sideline. Nope, I think that was Chris Mendez. So Latin Academy's defense again coming up with a stop. They've now stopped this Tech Boston Bears offense 2 possessions in a row. They're going to force them to punt here again late in the 2nd quarter. So Montero back to kick for the Tech Boston Bears. Another low snap. Good job by Montero to get it off. High spiraling kick. It's fielded right around the 49-yard line by Suazo. He's wrapped up, but I believe it's going to be a face mask penalty on Nair Sanjurjo. So Nair Sanjurjo inadvertently grabbed the face mask of Lucas Suazo. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty. Can't quite see where the head referee is. He's talking to the Latin Academy coaching staff. So yeah, it's going to be there it is. Okay, so the face mask penalty was not the only penalty. I think Tech Boston did not give Suazo enough room to receive the football on the punt. So there were 2 penalties on the play. I think the first penalty was declined by Latin Academy. The second penalty is accepted. The 15-yard face mask is a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So that gets Latin Academy inside Tech Boston territory all the way down to the 37-yard line of Tech Boston. So huge penalty on that punt. That puts Latin Academy in a position to try to tack another touchdown on before halftime if they can. So now on 1st down from the Tech Boston 37. They hand off over the left side to Malcolm Crispin, who fights forward past the 35-yard line up to the 34. Can't tell if, I think Tech Boston just called a timeout as they didn't like what they saw from the, Latin Academy just called a timeout, I believe. They didn't like what they saw from the Tech Boston defense. Folks, we're bringing this game to you from Boston English High School in Jamaica Plain. As we mentioned, Latin Academy's got to play their home games at this field because there's no the natural grass field at White Stadium is not in any type of game shape to play a football game at. Happy to bring this game to you, folks. If you want to check out games that we've already covered during either basketball season or previous seasons, and if you want to see what games we're going to be covering throughout this season, you can first go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/GameOfTheWeekBoston. We got a lot of good stuff up on our Facebook page. What games we're going to be covering. The links to all the live streams are going to be up on that site. And also the links to the games, once they're completed on YouTube, will be up on that site as well. And you make sure you like us on Facebook. You check out some of these videos and some of these updates we're going to be sending you. A lot of good stuff up there. You can also, if you want to watch previous games, you can certainly go to the city's website, www.boston.gov/cable. You scroll down on the bottom of the screen of that website, you click on Game of the Week, it routes you to the video library of the city, and you can check out previous games from this season, from last season, basketball games, football games. We've got BNBL games from the summer of 2019 are up there as well, so make sure you check that out. And you can follow us on Twitter at Boston City TV, and if you want to tweet at us, use the hashtag BostonGOW. Make sure you check that Twitter handle out as well. You follow us there because we also send out updates about what games we're going to be covering on our Twitter feed as well. We usually include BPS Athletics, and whatever two teams are playing, we try to tweet out at those handles as well. So Tech Boston's Twitter handle, Latin Academy's Twitter handle, they got a tweet from us saying that we were going to be covering their game. It had the link in it. A lot of good stuff there. So coming out of the timeout, 2nd down and 7 now for Latin Academy from the Tech Boston 34-yard line. Maffeo off the fake, throwing down the left side. He's got a receiver. Suazo to the end zone. Touchdown, Latin Academy. Beautiful pass from Luke Maffeo to Lucas Suazo, hooking up for the score. That was beautiful. We don't have replay, folks. I'd love to see a replay of that one. Unfortunately, we don't have our truck during this season, but excellent pass from Luke Maffeo down the left side of the field to Suazo in stride for the touchdown. Lucas Suazo, the junior receiver, who, as we mentioned before, really came into the 2019 season as probably the top receiver for Latin Academy. Didn't quite get as many receptions as I think even Latin Academy would have liked to have wanted. They just didn't get the ball to him enough. They also have so many other good players, Malcolm Crispin, Robert Merrick, and a few other contributors as well. But Suazo with a touchdown catch. Latin Academy are looking to tack on for the 2-point conversion. Maffeo looking over the left side. He's got O'Neal for the 2-pointer wide open over the left side of the end zone. So after Tech Boston came up with a stop on the very first possession of the game against Latin Academy, Tech Boston then goes down the field and scores. Latin Academy has now answered with 2 touchdown drives. First one was a longer drive, about 5 plays, 58 yards. Second one off the penalty on the punt that got him into the Tech Boston territory at the 37-yard line. That was a 2-play, 37-yard drive, capped off by the 34-yard touchdown connection from quarterback Luke Maffeo to receiver Lucas Suazo, and now the Latin Academy Dragons on top of the Tech Boston Bears, 16-8. So really in the opening quarter, it looked like it was going to be Tech Boston who was going to control this game, but Latin Academy has answered and then some. So once again, we don't know how much time is left here in the second quarter. The game is being kept on the field by the referees. The scoreboard is not operating right now, so we won't quite know how much time is left. There can't be a ton of time left here in the second quarter. They'll kick this field right around the 25-yard line for Tech Boston. And that's returned up to the 37-yard line. Number 5, Giovanni Noel on the return for the Bears. So see what Tech Boston can come up with. As you know, Julius Gillard, the quarterback for Tech Boston, a big play quarterback. So no matter how much time is left, he's going to be a threat to score on almost every play with the way he can run and throw the football. Bears now in a spread formation. So you see Esau Jackson again at the bottom of your screen. Also Dyree Smith in the slot. They get it over to Smith over the left side. Smith eludes a tackler. Smith down the sideline. Gets out of bounds right around the 47-yard line. So a good first down play there for the Tech Boston Bears. They actually mark him down at the 46. Also stops the clock by getting out of bounds. So there's got to be probably under 2 minutes left to go here in the second quarter.
Let's go, D. Go, Luck. Go get the ball. Come on. Wrap up and tackle, D.
First and 10 now for Tech Boston at the Latin Academy 46. Gillard over the right side. He's got Montero, who makes a nice move and then gets up to the Latin Academy 42-yard line. So just a short gain on first down there for the Bears. Looks like about a 4-yard pickup, so it'll be 2nd and 6 now for Tech Boston.
Go, defense.
Gillard over the left side had an opening there for Smith there as Dyrese was licking his chops and waiting for that accurate pass, but he just couldn't get it to him. I think Julius rushed it a little bit. And, you know, Coach Brown mentioned that he wants Julius Gillard, despite how great he is at running with the football and throwing on the run, he wants Julius to learn how to throw from the pocket. And those are one of those plays where if Julius had just taken his time just a little bit longer, he probably would have made that connection. That probably would have been a big pickup there to Dyrese Smith. But those are the growing pains as a quarterback in high school football. 3rd and 6 now for Tech Boston. Gillard on the right side. It's popped up into the air. Intercepted. Malcolm Crispin. Crispin down the sideline avoids a tackler. Crispin's going to take it in for a score. Malcolm Crispin, are you kidding me? Make that 58-yard interception return for a touchdown by Malcolm Crispin. My goodness, Malcolm's been all over the field as well in this game. We knew that he was a player that Latin Academy would be leaning on this season, and you see it from him right there. This time on the defensive side of the ball, Gillard was trying to get it out to the right side of the field on that pass on 3rd down, but couldn't quite see who tipped it into the air from Latin Academy. But Crispin was able to find the football in the air and bring it back to the distance for a 58-yard interception return for a touchdown that time. Latin Academy now on top 22-8 after that pick six. See if the Dragons can tack on the 2-point conversion. They're 2 for 2 on the 2-point attempts. Pitch it over the left side. That's Polanco with the carry, and he's wrapped up in the backfield. Esau Jackson. And it looked like Marquise Gomes-Hilliard also in there for the stop. You saw an angry tackle there from the senior Esau Jackson. So Tech Boston, that's not what they were looking for on that drive. They were trying to pick up a score to try to tie it before the half, but instead they get the ball knocked up in the air, and it's just one of those things where sometimes the ball gets deflected, it goes straight to the ground. That time it popped straight up into the air, almost like a punt. Malcolm Crispin able to find it, get the interception, and then take it back 58 yards for a touchdown. Massive play at that time from Malcolm Crispin. And boy, have things changed drastically in this second quarter for Latin Academy, as it really seemed like Tech Boston was in control earlier on, but 22 unanswered points from the Dragons. They're now on top by 14 here late in the second quarter. Fielded right around the 21-yard line by Smith. Smith makes his way up to the 34, make that the 36. We get a flag on the play. And now we got a face mask on Latin Academy. So on Latin Academy's second touchdown, offensive touchdown drive, they actually fielded a punt right around the 48, their own 48-yard line. But because of a face mask penalty, they got the ball at the Tech Boston 37. That led to a touchdown. Now it's Latin Academy who kicked the ball off. Face mask penalty on the Dragons. That now gives Tech Boston the football in Latin Academy territory here at the 49-yard line. We'll see if Tech Boston can take advantage of this field position after the face mask penalty here late in the second quarter. Again, we don't know how much time is left, but now Tech Boston really getting another shot here to try to put some points on the board before halftime. It's more of a tighter spread formation here from the Tech Boston Bears. It's Gillard looking over the left side. He's got his completion once again to Smith. So Dyrese Smith, who Coach Brown said is going to be moved all over the football field. Smith got out of bounds on that play, but I think that's going to do it for the first half. Now, as we mentioned, we don't know the time left in the quarter, so that is going to do it for the first half here at Boston English High School, as the Latin Academy Dragons lead the Tech Boston Bears 22-8. What a first half we saw there. It went back and forth for a while, but then Latin Academy sort of just took over, making plays all over the field. Bunch of big plays that really defined that first half for both teams, as we saw in the opening frame. You know, the first possession, Latin Academy, they get a first down, but then they can't move the football. Tech Boston comes up with a big defensive stop to start off the game. Then Tech Boston gets the ball back, drives all the way down the field, passing and running from Julius Gilliard, and he's able to get in on a scramble for a quarterback for a touchdown there. And then you think Tech Boston has all the momentum. Then Latin Academy comes back, has sort of a similar drive. They had a big play from Malcolm Crispin to get them down inside the 15-yard line, actually inside the 10-yard line. And then start of the second quarter, drive continues, and then you see Luke Maffeo take it in from the 2-yard line for a touchdown for Latin Academy. They also get the 2-point conversion. They're able to tie it up at 8 apiece. Then Latin Academy forces Tech Boston a punt. They get the penalty, a face mask penalty that gets Latin Academy to the 37-yard line. Couple of plays later, Luke Maffeo connects with Luke Suazo for the 34-yard touchdown connection, and that puts Latin Academy up by a touchdown, and they also get the 2-point conversion. 8-point lead for them, but then you see that interception. Julius Gillard's pass is popped up into the air. Nice play by one of the defensive front seven for Latin Academy. Malcolm Crispin finds it, brings it back 58 yards for the touchdown, and that's why you see Latin Academy on top 22-8. So, you know, it's a 2-touchdown game, but knowing these teams, it's going to come down to the wire. You know, just a couple of plays going a different way. If that ball isn't intercepted and Tech Boston is able to drive down the field, we might be looking at a 16-all game here at the half. So that's how it goes in high school football. A couple of plays here can change everything. But right now, certainly Latin Academy has the momentum. But remember, Tech Boston gets the ball to start the third quarter. So that's going to be a big advantage for them. And I'm sure Julius Gilliard and some of the other players from Tech Boston are going to be itching to get out there to get on offense for the third quarter. But well played there in the third quarter, first 2 quarters for both these teams. As we mentioned, this is a fall 2/spring, whatever you want to call it, high school football season. They didn't have a season in the fall of 2020 because of the pandemic. Now they're able to do it safely here in the spring. of 2021. And I think both these teams and coaches are very happy to just be out on the field, never mind what the product looks like. But so far, very well played first half, I thought. Just a couple of penalties. Obviously, the big one, the two face mask penalties were probably the two biggest penalties of the half. One led to a touchdown for Latin Academy. But overall, pretty clean first half there for both teams. We did not have a turnover, a couple of fumbled snaps, but nothing too crazy for either squad. So a nice first half there from both Latin Academy and Tech Boston. It's the Mason Cup. It's always a lot of fun between these two teams, these cross neighborhood rivals in both being in Dorchester, both usually in the same division of the Boston City League. Not the case this year, but always a fun Mason Cup rivalry between these two teams. Folks, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we'll see if we can get some halftime stats for you and some numbers before we get going in the third quarter here on Game of the Week. We'll see you in just a few.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother,
Yes.
you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Each year, there are more than a dozen significant tropical and winter storms that threaten the East Coast. So chances are there will be more hurricanes and blizzards near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
All right, Monroe, you ready? Monroe. Here we go, the butterfly. Ready? Ooh.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch.
Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs. And that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 30 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey folks, welcome back to Game of the Week. We're still at the half here between Tech Boston and Latin Academy. The Latin Academy Dragons lead the Tech Boston Bears 22-8. As we mentioned before we're heading into the break, that it was Tech Boston who really controlled that opening frame as Darius, I keep calling him Darius, Julius Gillard, one of the better players in this Boston City League, had a very good opening drive there in the first quarter. It really got things going for Tech Boston, but it was the Bears, they got the stop to start the game, drove right down the field. Gillard had a couple of completions. He also had a couple of nice runs. And one of the players that's been very impressive for Tech Boston to start out is Dyree Smith. Don't remember him from last year, but a very good player that Coach Brown was talking about coming into the game, would be a very important player for this Tech Boston team. But they trail by 14 here as we're ready to start the third quarter on Game of the Week. And Latin Academy, who received to start the game, will be kicking off here at the beginning of the third quarter. You see the sun starting to go down behind some of those buildings there in Jamaica Plain. That'll certainly help our camera here later in the third quarter. Still going to see some lens flare for a little bit. That's just the angle that these bleachers are for this game. But so now Tech Boston fields it right around the 30-yard line. And getting tripped up at the 37. That time was Giovanni Noel. So Tech Boston's first possession of the third quarter will be at the 37-yard line. I didn't see a flag on the play, so I'm not sure what the conversation is. That's Coach Brown talking to the head referee as we speak. So we're getting offsides on Latin Academy. So I think Coach Brown's going to ask for a re-kick. So Dragons will kick it again, this time from the 35-yard line. Good kick over the middle of the field. It's fielded at the 35-yard line of Tech Boston, and a good return that time up to midfield by Nair Sanjuro. And they spot him actually at the Latin Academy 49-yard line.
Wrap up. Let's go, Luck.
So first and 10 now for the for the Tech Boston Bears from the Dragon 49-yard line. The handoff over the right side to Dyree Smith, who charges up the field to the 43-yard line. 6-yard gain on the play. It'll be second down and 4 now for Tech Boston. 79 total yards offensively for Tech Boston in the first half, 60 passing and 19 rushing. Most of that was in their first quarter drive, touchdown drive. Second down and 4 now for the Bears from the Latin Academy 43. Handoff over the left side, and it's Tyree Smith with another nice cut past the 40 up to the 37-yard line. Latin Academy with it's like 141 total yards in the first half, a lot from really 2 plays, a 34-yard touchdown pass and then a long run from Malcolm Crispin at the end of the first quarter. But they had 141 yards of total offense there in the first half to Tech Boston 79. Bears now on first down. The handoff up the gut this time. And still on his feet this time is Quaran Smith. That's his first carry of the game. And he fights his way upfield past the 30 up to the 28-yard line. So a big-time run that time for Tech Boston. Bears trying to get their sideline going. This is exactly what they need to try to get back in this game. They're down by 14. Lost a lot of momentum there in the second quarter, trying to regain it here in the third. Handoff on second down and 1. It's Smith escaping with another nice run past the 20-yard line up to the 19. So Tyree Smith getting going here in the third quarter for the Tech Boston Bears. You got to think at halftime, Coach Brown was saying, we're going to ground and pound. We've got a bunch of running backs and a quarterback who can really run the football. Try to punch one in here early in the third quarter to regain the momentum that they lost there in the second quarter. Now on first down, handoff over the left side. This time Smith, where he wrapped up in the backfield, coming across for Latin Academy was Patrick Shavana Smith. So Pat Smith, the senior defensive tackle, coming across and making the stop. So no gain on the play. It'll be second down and 10 now for the Tech Boston Bears from the Latin Academy 20-yard line. Give it over the right side to Smith again, and Dyrese fights forward up to the 5-yard line. Excuse me, the 15-yard line, rather. Looks like it's going to be a 3rd and 5 now for Tech Boston. They have to make it to the 10-yard line for a first down. Bears also taking their time offensively. It seemed like in the first half they were not going no huddle, but they were trying to move quickly on the offensive side of the ball. Much more of a methodical drive on this opening possession of the third quarter for Tech Boston. Noel, the deep back in the backfield now for Tech Boston. They pitch to Giovanni Noel, looking for an opening. Gets by one defender. And I believe he picked up the first down. He's right on the first down marker there, close to the 10-yard line. And I believe that's going to be a first down for the Tech Boston Bears. Actually going to be first and goal now for Tech Boston, as they mark the ball at the 9-yard line. This is exactly what Tech Boston needed, a controlled, hard-charging drive right down the field to start the third quarter. I'm sure that's exactly what Coach Brown wanted, to try to regain the momentum in this game. So first and goal now for the Tech Boston Bears as they trail by 14 to Latin Academy here at the start of the third quarter. Once again, it's Smith, the deep back, man in motion for Tech Boston. They pitch it over to Smith, over the left side. Look at Gillard trying to get out there for a block. He does. Did Smith get in? Yes, he did. Dyree Smith finding the pylon. Touchdown, Tech Boston. You saw everybody try for scoop blocks on the outside there, including the 5'5" starting quarterback, Julius Gillard. And he made a nice block on the edge there to spring Smith for the touchdown. So great play there by Julius Gillard on top of the offensive linemen and other skills position players that got out there to make blocks for Dyree Smith. Like we mentioned, we don't have replay right now for this type of streaming, but trust me, Julius Gillard got out there and made a heck of a block for that touchdown run by Smith. So now the Tech Boston Bears looking for the 2-point conversion to try to cut it down to a 6-point game here in the third quarter. Handoff over the right side to Smith, and he shoots forward for the 2-point conversion. Boy, Dyree Smith, what a drive that time by the Tech Boston senior tailback, as they basically went to him the whole way. He caps it off with a touchdown run and the 2-point conversion. And that cuts the score back down to a 6-point game, 22-16. Tech Boston Bears with an excellent touchdown drive to kick things off here in the third quarter. Yeah, like we mentioned, Tech Boston lost all that momentum in the second quarter, not just with the two touchdowns that Latin Academy scored offensively, but then Tech Boston was trying to drive down the field late in the second quarter. They got the ball knocked up in the air, was intercepted by Malcolm Crispin of Latin Academy. He brought it back for a touchdown, and it seemed like Tech Boston went from being the team with all the momentum there in the first quarter to just losing all of it completely there in the second quarter. Bears come right out in the third quarter, drive all the way down the field and score. We got ourselves a ball game, as we always do with the Mason Cup between Tech Boston and Latin Academy. Interesting kick that time from the Bears, as the Dragons get a good return up to the 45-yard line. Couldn't quite see who that was on the return for the Latin Academy Dragons. Also, I want to thank the coaches, Coach Raul Brown and Coach Rocco Ziza, for getting us their rosters. It's been 2 weeks of practice. They also had to get the jerseys out. I mean, they had to crunch so many things in for this game that we really appreciate the coaches getting us these rosters. There's probably a couple numbers off, so if we don't announce a player's name on a return or on a run or on a catch, it's probably because we don't have it on the roster, and that's just because these coaches had to work so hard and squeeze all of this in the night before the game to get it to us. So we'll do the best we can and try to get the player who makes the play for each team. Now on first down, it's Malcolm Crispin, who we know who he is, as he makes another nice run to the outside after initially being bottled up. He makes his way past the 40 up to the 36-yard line. Second down and 1 now for the Latin Academy Dragons from the Tech Boston 36-yard line. They hand it off to Crispin again, and Malcolm's bottled up at the line of scrimmage. He did not get the first down. He's short of the 35-yard line. So it'll be third down and 1 now for Latin Academy from the Tech Boston 36-yard line. And Maffeo takes it himself on the quarterback keeper and gets up to the 33-yard line for a first down. So Dragons keep the drive alive here. Now, if you're Tech Boston, that was a really good offensive drive for you to drive right down the field, score, and hang on to time of possession. But if Latin Academy comes right back and scores, that essentially wastes that opening drive of the third quarter. So Tech Boston wants to try to come up with a stop and not allow Latin Academy to get into the end zone here in the third quarter. We'll see what they can do. It's first down and 10 now for the Dragons from the Tech Boston 33-yard line. First down pitch is to Crispin. Malcolm Crispin cuts it back up the middle. Malcolm Crispin then wrapped up at the 30. He actually, it looked like, had some more space, but actually worked his way back to try to elude a defender. I think if Malcolm stayed with the path there in the middle of the field, probably would have gotten 2 or 3 more yards. So about a 3-yard pickup there on first down for Malcolm Crispin. It'll be 2nd and 7 now for the Dragons. This was actually the final score of the matchup last season. Latin Academy defeated Tech Boston 22-16 back in the fall of 2019. Mason Cup is always a close one. Now on second down and 7, got to be either early movement or a timeout call. Yep, it's a false start on Latin Academy. It's going to back them up 5. That's a big penalty. Now it'll be 2nd down and 12 rather than 2nd and 7. So, Latin Academy looked like they were trying a running play there to Robert Merrick, where they probably would have picked up positive yardage. They could have had a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, maybe even a first down. Now they're looking at a 2nd and 12. This is what happens when you get penalties like this, even a 5-yarder, just a small 5-yarder just like that. It really stalls and sometimes kills drives completely. We'll see what the Dragons can do here, as they're now backed up to the Tech Boston 35-yard line. Second down and 12. Maffeo looking down the left side for his receiver. Sawazo looking for the penalty, and he got it, as it looked like he was being held from coming back for the football. they're going to get either Esau Jackson or I can't tell if that's, I think that might be Gillard out there on the coverage. But that is going to be a pass interference penalty, 15-yarder for Tech Boston. That's always a tough play for a defensive back because the ball was thrown short. I don't think it was thrown short on purpose. It didn't seem like a back shoulder throw. So, you know, the defensive back does everything they can to stay with the receiver. Then the receiver comes back for the ball. And sometimes I don't love the call when they give it to the offensive player because it resulted from a poor throw from the quarterback. However, that time it looked like there was some jersey grabbing by Tech Boston, and that's why they did call the penalty. So now on first down, it's Maffeo on the quarterback keeper. He makes his way up the field and picks up some positive yardage there on first down up to the, looks like the 15-yard line. So big time penalty there in favor of Latin Academy. That keeps their drive alive. Now from the 15-yard line, it'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Dragons. Handoff to Crispin up the middle. Malcolm makes his way down to about the 11-yard line. At the 12-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and short now for Latin Academy. Dragons looking to keep this drive alive. It's Maffeo again on the keeper, and he makes his way up to the 10-yard line. So it looks like the Dragons did pick up a first down inside the 10-yard line. And I think there's a chance that's the end of the third quarter. I think it is. So that's the end of the third quarter here on Game of the Week. The Tech Boston Bears trail the Latin Academy Dragons 22-16. The Dragons just picked up a first down inside the 10-yard line of Tech Boston, so they'll be faced with a 1st and goal to try to make this a 2-score game once again. Tech Boston did a great job here in the start of the third quarter, driving down the field, controlling the clock, and scoring a touchdown to make it back to a 1-score game. You know, and they prevented Latin Academy from scoring there in the third quarter, but now you have a situation where Latin Academy is driving down the field. They chewed up the rest of the third quarter on that drive, and now we're starting the fourth quarter with the football inside the 10-yard line of Latin Academy and looking to score on 1st and goal. See what happens here. Certainly Latin Academy in good position. We'll see if Tech Boston can even come up with some kind of goal line stop or a defensive stop to try to help their cause here, as they're definitely going to need to come up with stops here in the fourth quarter. If it gets back to a 2-possession game, it's going to be tough, or a 2-score game rather. It's going to be tough for Tech Boston to come up with a couple of drives on top of a couple of stops to try to get back into it in just one quarter. Of course, they have Julius Gilliard, so he can make a lot of plays. We also have seen Dyrese Smith come up with some huge offensive gains and plays for this Tech Boston team. So they certainly have the offensive firepower to score a couple of touchdowns in a quarter. But they got to make a defensive stop first. And this is going to be a tough one. So it's 1st and goal for Latin Academy from inside the 10-yard line. Now on 1st down, it's Maffeo. Oh, I don't think they got the 1st down at the end of the 3rd quarter there because he was trying for the 1st down. So he did not get inside the 10-yard line. My apologies, folks. That's my fault. It was actually, I believe, 4th down on that play. I think Latin Academy got it. It looked like Maffeo crossed the line of scrimmage. So I believe now it's a 1st and goal for Latin Academy. My apologies to the folks at home and to our folks who are working here at Boston City TV, our director Ethan Vera and our production assistant Desmond LaFave and our engineer Shane Hesford. That is my apologies to everybody involved, including you folks at home. So now it's 1st and goal for Latin Academy. Now from about the 9-yard line, it's Merrick over the right side. Robert Merrick gets drilled right around the 5-yard line. On 2nd and goal, it's Crispin trying to bounce to the outside. Crispin gets wrapped up inside the 5-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and goal now for Latin Academy. Now if Tech Boston can prevent the Dragons from getting into the end zone, we actually have an injury now for the Latin Academy Dragons. Can't quite see who that is. Malcolm Crispin. He does get up on his own power, though. Sometimes he might have got the wind knocked out of him. When you're a ball carrier, if you land on the ball, it could take the wind out of you, and you feel like you can't breathe at all. But then after a few seconds, you regain your breath, and you feel like you just got the wind sucked out of you for an extended period of time. So Latin Academy actually, I believe, called a timeout there. So it'll be 3rd and goal now for the Dragons. Two receivers to the right side of your screen, including Suazo in the slot. Now it's Maffeo, going to take it himself, and he'll go in standing up for the touchdown. Zach Maffeo with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game, and the Dragons extend their lead once again. Now it's 28-16, Latin Academy on top. And heck of an answer there from this Latin Academy Dragons team. After Tech Boston started off the 3rd quarter marching all the way down the field for a methodical touchdown drive to cut it back down to a 1-touchdown game, the Dragons give the Tech Boston Bears a taste of their own medicine. They go down the field for most of the rest of the 3rd quarter. Start the 4th quarter, they picked up the 1st down, got inside the 10-yard line, and then just punched it in 3 plays. Zach Maffeo with the touchdown run gives Latin Academy a 12-point lead here in the beginning of the 4th quarter. So we'll see now if Latin Academy can get the 2-point conversion. They missed on their last attempt of the 2-point conversion, so we'll see if the Dragons can try to punch it home this time. Maffeo over the right side. He's got O'Neal again, and that was an easy 2-point completion between the senior quarterback, Zach Maffeo, and the sophomore wide receiver, Owen O'Neill. So Latin Academy now on top by 14, 30-16 here early in the fourth quarter. That's the one thing about Latin Academy. They can beat you in so many different ways. They have, you know, any team who's coming into this fall 2 high school football season with a quarterback that's been there for at least a year. Zach Maffeo's been the starter for 2 years already. This will be his 3rd season as the full-time starter. That helps you so much because this quarterback already knows what he's doing. We also mentioned Zach played hockey during the winter season, so he's already in shape, you know, and he's ready to go. And you also have continuity with the running backs, Malcolm Crispin. You also have Robert Merrick. Lucas Suazo's back for another season. He's been a varsity player for a couple of years, even though he's just a junior. So you have a lot of continuity at the skills positions. The offensive line has been, you know, the part of the team for Latin Academy that, you know, isn't completely the same from last year, but they've actually done a nice job that Coach Ziza mentioned to me earlier in the week, that they've actually done a nice job blocking together and playing together. So you're actually seeing it out on the field there. And this is why Latin Academy has that 14-point lead. They've scored touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns from the quarterback, an interception return for a touchdown, and a 34-yard touchdown pass. So now it's Tech Boston on the return up to the 36-yard line, as that was Nair Sanjuro. So 2-touchdown lead for the Dragons, but again, don't count out Tech Boston. The type of players they have in that team. Raul Brown's a very innovative, offensive-minded coach who can certainly draw up some good different kinds of plays for this Tech Boston team. You got a quarterback who can run all over the field and throw it downfield. You have receivers in Esau Jackson, Isaiah Montero, and of course, you know, Dyree Smith has probably been the best player on the field so far in this game for Tech Boston. He's caught the ball several times. He's ran the ball several times. Has been a good defensive player for Tech Boston as well. So don't count Tech Boston out just yet here in the fourth quarter. Down by 14. We'll see what the Bears can come up with on their first offensive possession of the fourth quarter. Gillard now starting under center for Tech Boston as they run a wishbone formation. They hand it off to Smith once again. Smith bounces to the outside. Still on his feet is Dyree Smith as he makes his way inside Latin Academy territory. Dyree Smith dialing it up once again. He's had a heck of a game for the Tech Boston Bears. Looked like it was about a 23-yard pickup on that play for Smith. So 1st and 10 from the Latin Academy 41-yard line now. They hand off to Smith again over the left side. This time Smith thought he was bottled up, but he still plows forward for a couple of yards up to the 39-yard line. So a 2-yard gain there on 1st down for Smith. Second down and 8 now for the Tech Boston Bears. A handoff to the fullback this time. Looks like that was Quaran Smith with the carry. And he makes his way up to the 32-yard line, so nice pickup there on 2nd down. I believe he's about a yard short of the 1st down. It's real close, actually less than a yard. It might be 3rd and inches. He's probably 3rd and a half a yard. We're going to say 3rd and 1, but it's shorter than that. Oh, they gave him the first down. So they gave Tech Boston the first down on that play as they make their way down to the 31-yard line. Tech Boston Bears taking their time. They're down by 2 scores. Surprised they're not playing with a little bit more of a sense of urgency here in the fourth quarter. It's so tough to really calculate the time because the referees are keeping the time on the field. Gillard off the fake, going to try to take it himself, and he gets wrapped up at the 30. You can tell this Latin Academy defense is keying on Julius Gillard. So about a 2-yard pickup there on first down for Julius Gillard. So it'll be second down and 8 now for the Tech Boston Bears. Out of the shotgun, it's Gillard. Tries to find an opening, now scrambles back to his left. Gillard still looking downfield, and he's going to be wrapped up in the backfield. Gillard wrestled down at the 34-yard line, so a 3-yard loss. Make that a 5-yard loss on the play. And you see the type of player that Julius is, you know, he can keep plays alive, but sometimes when you try to do stuff like that, you know, you get the 5-yard loss, he stays in bounds, the clock continues to run. When you're down by 2 scores, this is tough. Tech Boston, I'm surprised they're not picking up the tempo a little bit here with a play like that. And I think Julius, as he continues to mature as a quarterback, will try to throw that one away and, you know, live to see another down and also stop the clock by throwing the ball away for Tech Boston next time around. Third and 13 now for the Tech Boston Bears. Gillard trying to screen. What a catch by Smith. Tyree Smith making his way down close to the 20-yard line. I thought there was no chance at all that Smith was going to be able to snag that catch, but he one-hands that one, makes his way inside the 20, and I believe picks up a first down. And he does, yes, so a first down there for Tech Boston. Boy, Tyree Smith has had an excellent game here to start off the Fall 2 2021 football season. So first and 10 again for Tech Boston, this time inside the 20-yard line of Latin Academy. Wide open over the left side. I think that's Mendez with the reception as he makes his way about the 10-yard line, might even be inside the 10. I'm sorry, inside the 15-yard line. My apologies. So down to about the 14-yard line was Mendez. So it'll be second down and about 6 now for Tech Boston. Bears on the far hash mark. Gillard over the right side finds Smith. He's then drilled as soon as he catches the football. We don't have a number 20 on the roster for Latin Academy, but number 20 from the Dragons made that hit right there. He's actually had a pretty good game. I wish I had his name on the roster, but number 20 coming up with another stop. He's had a couple of big tackles in this game for the Dragons. Tough to see with the balls. I think it's at the 9-yard line. You can't see the yardage marker. It's going to be third and short, I believe, for, I'm sorry, second and 6 now for Tech Boston. I'm sorry, it is third down. As Gillard looking down the field to the back of the end zone. Ball was a little too high that time for the Tech Boston Bears. I think the Bears are looking for pass interference. See what the head referee says. Or if it was just an incomplete pass. No, it was just incomplete. So this will be 4th and 2 now for Tech Boston. Looking to try to continue this drive. They're inside the 10-yard line. This could be the game right here, folks. Tech Boston's got to get a first down in order to keep this drive going, trailing by 14 here in the 4th quarter. Gillard gonna tuck it in and run. Scrambles a little bit, makes his way up the field to, I want to say about the 6 or 7 yard line. He probably picked up the first down. So it is going to be 1st and goal for Tech Boston here, right around the 7 yard line. Gillard directing traffic, trying to get everybody in the correct place. 1st and goal now for the Bears. Smith was the man in motion. Gillard thought about the pitch, now going to take it himself inside the 5. It's going to be 2nd and goal right around the 3 yard line for Tech Boston. So they're knocking on the doorstep here. The problem is they're taking a lot of time to score this touchdown. See if the Bears can punch it home here. 2nd and goal now for Tech Boston inside the 5 yard line. Send a man in motion again. Gillard now in the quarterback keeper. Tries to run back up the middle. He stopped in the backfield, lost yardage on the play. Back to about the 7 or 8 yard line, so probably about a 5 yard loss on the play there. As Tech Boston tried to get Gillard in motion. And I'm sure it was Tech Boston who called the timeout there. Now faced with a 3rd and goal. So you see Coach Brown talking to his junior quarterback, Julius Gillard. A lot of teaching moments for these coaches too. You know, both coaches told me, talking to them earlier in the week, that they want this to be about the kids. They obviously missed out on the traditional 2020 fall football season. So the first and foremost is to get the kids out on the field and let these student athletes compete on the football field. They're going to have a 7-game season, I think, which is more than anybody expected, even maybe 4 or 5 months ago, that they would even have a fall 2 season. So that's first and foremost. And then second of all, they want some skill development here. These coaches want to, especially their underclassmen who, you know, are going to be the seniors in the fall 2021 season, the normal fall 2021 season, and then the seniors this year who almost lost their senior football season are now getting a chance to play. So even though there's no state football playoffs, and there's not going to be a new city championship or anything like that, you know, these teams are going to try to develop skills, get a 7-game season, and really compete out on the football field. Some of these guys certainly have the ability to play college football too, so hopefully they'll get some game tape into some college coaches and get a chance to showcase their skills here in the spring season to maybe play college football as well. So coming out of the timeout, 3rd and goal for Tech Boston. They run the option play. They pitch it over the right side to Noel. Giovanni Noel walks in for a touchdown. Giovanni Noel off the nice pitch from Julius Gillard. Goes in standing up for the score. Cuts the Latin Academy lead to 8 here late in the 4th quarter. This will be a huge 2-point conversion here for Tech Boston. Now, if Tech Boston doesn't get the 2-point conversion, they're certainly still in it. They don't get it. They're still down just 8. So if they get the ball back, come up with a stop, get the ball back, go down and score, they still have a chance to score another 2-point conversion. But if the Tech Boston Bears get the 2-point conversion here, then get the ball back later in this quarter, go down and score again, they've tied it up and they have a chance to win on the 2-point conversion. So this would be a huge boost to this Tech Boston team to get this 2-point conversion. We'll see what they can come up with here late in the fourth quarter after that run by Giovanni Noel. Gillard looking to go to the air, over the right side. And the ball was a little too far away from the intended receiver. So that falls incomplete. Gillard was unable to connect in the back of the end zone, I believe. So Tech Boston trailing by 8 here in the fourth quarter. So now Tech Boston's gonna, we'll see if they try the onside kick here. We don't know how much time's left. It's gotta be 3 to 4 minutes, I wanna say, left in this game. So Tech Boston might try to actually get the onside kick here. They haven't used a ton. I think they still have a couple timeouts left too. So they might have a chance to just kick it off, try to get a stop, and then get the football back. Or they'll try an onside kick right here. We'll see what the Tech Boston Bears do. Trailing by 8 here late in the fourth quarter. Nope, the Bears decide to kick it downfield. You got to field it properly here, Latin Academy, as finally they're able to pounce on it. Because that was Robert Merrick, who couldn't field it cleanly, but was able to finally pounce on the football. So Latin Academy now has it at the 22-yard line. So again, we don't know how much time's left, but if the Latin Academy Dragons go 3 and out here, Tech Boston certainly will have some time to try to put the ball downfield, try to come up with a score. We know Latin Academy is going to try to run the ball, we think, on this series, at least on first down. Runner over the right side this time with Malcolm Crispin on first down. Excellent run for Crispin to get things going for the Latin Academy Dragons as he makes his way up to the 30-yard line. Clock continues to move here after that nice run from Crispin. It'll be second down and 3. Now for Latin Academy. As usual, the Masons Cup coming down to the end. These two teams always seem to play a close one, this annual rivalry between Dorchester neighborhood rivals, the Tech Boston Bears and the Latin Academy Dragons. Last year, Latin Academy won 22-16. And this year, Dragons again lead by 8. I think Latin Academy actually let the play clock wind down and then called a timeout. Try to kill some clock here late in the fourth quarter. But as we mentioned, this matchup is always fun, always a close game. Crazy things tend to happen in this matchup. We saw some crazy things happen. That interception that popped up in the air, Gillard tried to throw it over the right side. It got popped up high in the air, almost like a punt, and Malcolm Crispin did a great job fielding the interception, bringing it back 58 yards for a touchdown. That was really the big play that changed this game dramatically. I mean, Latin Academy scored 2 touchdowns offensively after Tech Boston scored the opening touchdown to go ahead 16-8. But then that interception right before halftime that was brought back for a score made it 22-8 at the half, and that's really what changed things for this game for Latin Academy. And it wasn't a bad throw by Gillard. It just was a nice play by one of the Latin Academy front 7 players. Popped it up in the air, tipping the pass, and Crispin made a nice play to find it, bring it back 58 yards for the score. So we'll see what happens here in this last series for the Latin Academy offense. Got to think if the Dragons are able to come up with a first down here rushing the football, that they'll be in the driver's seat to try to just milk this or ice this game away. So 2nd down and 3 now for Latin Academy. This time they give it to Merrick, and Robert Merrick with 2 hands on the football makes his way up to the 33.5, make that the 34-yard line. That's a first down for Latin Academy. Again, we don't know how much time is left in this game as it's being kept by the referees. Yeah, Latin Academy looked like they were almost running a no-huddle offense, but they're trying to milk the clock, so I'm not sure what happened there. But you saw the Latin Academy sideline tell their players to huddle up to try to kill some more clock here late in the 4th quarter. Now on first down, it's Merrick again, and this time Robert Merrick is gobbled up right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play there from Merrick. Might have picked up a half a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9 now for Latin Academy. And now Tech Boston calls a timeout. As we mentioned, folks, opening weekend of the Fall 2 2021 high school football season. More of a spring football season for these teams, but after missing the traditional 2020 high school football season in the fall of 2020, just having the season for a lot of these players is more than they could expect, and you know that just hearing from the coaches, you know these kids love being out there. They're just happy they can have a high school football season, especially the seniors. You know, we talked about Luke Maffeo, the senior quarterback for Latin Academy. You know, Esau Jackson's a senior for Tech Boston. These are a couple of guys that have been playing high school football at these 2 teams for quite some time now. Know what the Mason Cup means. As you see Maffeo off the fake on the quarterback keeper. He's going to stay in bounds and make his way up to the 43-yard line. And Tech Boston once again calls a timeout. So it's 3rd and 1 now for Latin Academy. I believe I just heard there's about a minute left in this game. So obviously Tech Boston got to come up with a stop here. We're not sure how many timeouts Tech Boston has. So the big thing here is Latin Academy's got to be stopped. Tech Boston's got to make a stop on 3rd down to try to force Latin Academy to either go for it on 4th and short, which they could possibly do, or punt the football. Then if the Tech Boston Bears get it back after the punt, they're not going to have a lot of time left, and I don't think they're going to have a lot of timeouts left. So, but first things first here for Tech Boston, they need to make a stop here on 3rd and 1. If Latin Academy, is able to pick up the first down right here, that should seal the game for the Dragons. Pretty well played game, though, I must say, for two teams that have only been practicing for just about 2 weeks. And even less than that, Tech Boston had to miss a couple of practices because one of the players did get sick. Might have been even a couple of players. They had to make sure it was not, the players were not sick with COVID. They were not, so they were able to resume after a couple of days. But you miss a couple of practices in this condensed beginning to the season anyway, and it just makes things tough. But both these teams have executed their offensive plays pretty well. We've had some penalties, but they haven't been, crazy penalties. We haven't seen a lot of we've seen a couple of offsides and false starts, but nothing totally unusual. We've seen games in the fall where high school teams are jumping off sides left and right. Not these teams. This has been a pretty clean football game considering the circumstances. So 3rd and 1 now for Latin Academy. Got to get to the 44 for a first, and they do. Latin Academy picks up the first down, and you got to think that's going to seal it here for the Dragons. Looks like it was Maffeo on the QB sneak. Luke Maffeo's had a heck of a game. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns, a 34-yard passing touchdown. Latin Academy doesn't chuck the ball all the way around the field, but they can certainly have the ability to do that with Luke Maffeo under center. And some good receivers. You saw Suazo with a 34-yard touchdown catch. They also had some 2-point conversions that were caught by Owen O'Neill, the big sophomore wide receiver. Malcolm Crispin's had a heck of a game, too. He had to pick a player of the game and probably be Maffeo, but Malcolm Crispin would be right there. Malcolm probably had the game-changing, 2 of the biggest game-changing plays. We'll talk about that certainly in the post-game. Now on first down, Latin Academy just going to down the football. This should do it. I don't believe Tech Boston has any timeouts left. I believe with the COVID protocols, they're not going to do a full handshake line. We're going to wait and sit on this for a little bit because we're not sure if that's the last play or not. There might still be some time left where Latin Academy has to run one more play. And I think that's going to do it. So yes, Latin Academy is able to hang on and defeat the Tech Boston Bears once again in the Mason Cup, 30-22. As we said all along, this was going to be a close game. The Mason Cup is always a close one between these two Dorchester neighborhood rivals. We saw that again today as the Tech Boston Bears weren't able to come up with a stop there late in the 4th quarter, as Latin Academy is able to hang on to win 30-22 over Tech Boston. So really fun game as usual between these two teams, and certainly a fun game to start off the season with. There were so many question marks coming into this season as to what is Fall 2 football going to look like. It's the spring. We're not sure about the weather. We had a beautiful day today here in Boston, so it was great for these players. This is perfect football conditions. It was 60s during the day. It's probably down to about the 50s tonight, which is great, very comfortable for the players, for the coaches, but not too hot. We mentioned that some of the players probably aren't in shape, but players look good today. We saw probably some of the better football players in the city between these two teams, but players look really good. Again, penalties, there were some, but not a lot of penalties in this first Fall 2 high school football game of the season. So I was pretty impressed by both teams, coaching staffs, and players that they were able to play a clean game like that. It also helps when you have 2 really good quarterbacks. Zach Maffeo was probably the best player on the field tonight, but as we know, Julius Gillard is a very talented, a very good quarterback, and he's going to have a great season. He's going to be good again next year, so it's going to be interesting to see him develop as well. We're going to get you some final stats from this game. As Julius Gillard went 7 for 16 for 64 yards, and the interception, as we mentioned, was popped up into the air. Malcolm Crispin brought it back for a touchdown. So not really a bad throw, just kind of unlucky there for Gillard. Rushing the football, Dyrese Smith, really nice night. 9 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Julius Gillard with 11 carries, 21 yards. He had a touchdown. on that first opening drive. And then Giovanni Noel had the 6-yard touchdown run as well for Tech Boston. Catching the football, Dyree Smith, 5 catches, 56 yards. So he had well over 100 yards of offense today. Coach Brown mentioned that he's going to be a player that they're going to move all around the field, do a lot of different things with out of the backfield, playing receiver, probably playing some H-back as well. We saw that today. So Dyree is a player that we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout the season. Meanwhile, for Latin Academy, they get the win today. And, as I mentioned, having a senior quarterback in this type of season where there's a lot of uncertainty, but you have a guy like Luke Maffeo who's done it for years now. He played in a couple playoff games last year. He's got a lot of experience. He's a hockey player, so he's already in shape. You saw that today. Maffeo, 6 for 7. So he's 7 attempts, 6 completions, 73 yards, and a 34-yard touchdown connection to Lucas Suazo, who's been a player on this Latin Academy team, who's gotten some varsity time since his freshman year. So certainly an experienced player as just a junior. Rushing the football, Malcolm Crispin didn't score a touchdown, but he had 12 carries for 72 yards. None bigger than Latin Academy was down 8-0. Late in the first quarter, Malcolm Crispin has a great, it might have been a 40-ish yard run down the field to get it inside the 15-yard line. That really set up their first score that they actually got at the start of the second quarter. And he also had that pick 6. So Malcolm Crispin, I thought Maffeo was probably the player of the game, but Malcolm Crispin's right behind him. He had 2 of the biggest game-changing plays, I thought, of the night. Robert Merrick, 7 carries for 17 yards, but he picked up some first downs with those carries. So some tough yards there for Merrick. Talked about Suazo with the 34-yard touchdown catch, and also O'Neal, 4 catches for 24 yards. 2 of those were extra 2-point conversions. So O'Neal, just a sophomore, doing a nice job catching the football. So, a full squad effort tonight from Latin Academy as they were able to win the Mason Cup again and defend the Mason Cup title. They won it in 2019. Now they get to keep that trophy here in 2021 in the fall to spring football season here in 2021. So as you can see, both these teams are going to be very good throughout the season. You're going to see some wins from both squads. Latin Academy, a lot of folks thought was going to be one of the top teams, if not the top team in the city because of all the guys coming back. Tech Boston's right there with them. You saw it tonight. So these 2 teams are going to once again be at the top of the standings throughout the BPS high school football season. Can't ask for a lot more here in week 1 of the Fall 2 season. Folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us. If you want to keep updated on what games we're going to be covering, make sure you follow us on social media. First, you can go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/GameOfTheWeekBoston. A lot of good stuff up on that site. It's the games that we're going to be covering. We're going to post the links to the games that we are covering so you can go back and watch again if you'd like. From our YouTube channel. We also, if there's news coming up about BPS athletics, we try to post stuff there as well. So make sure you check that out. You can also follow us, or you can visit our city website if you want to watch games from previous years or from this previous season, or from even as the season goes along, you want to go back a couple of weeks and watch some games. You can go to www.boston.gov/cable. You scroll to the bottom of the screen, click on Game of the Week. That routes you to our video library. You can check out a lot of games that we've been covering over the years. Finally, follow us on Twitter at Boston City TV. And if you want to tweet at us, use the hashtag BostonGOW. We tweet out the links to all these games from our Twitter handle. We also tweet at the schools' Twitter handles as well about the schools that are playing in those particular games. We tweet at those schools' Twitter handles. So if you're following the school, if you go to one of these schools and you want to see when your school is going to be on Game of the Week, just make sure you follow your school on Twitter and follow Boston City TV, and you will not miss our tweet, and you will not miss the link that these games are going to be streamed on. So we're looking forward to the rest of the BPS high school football season. Great night tonight to kick things off. We want to thank you again for joining us here on Game of the Week. Folks, we'll see you next time.